Hey, everyone, welcome to Voices in Probate Court. We're doing a show today about courts in crisis, which we do that every week because courts are in crisis. But every Tuesday night, we bring you the truth about what's happening inside our Michigan probate courts. And tonight, we've got something different. We didn't go looking for this. Our group heard a podcast clip of a woman named Susan Hubbard. And the second we heard her, we knew everyone in Wayne County needs to hear this woman speak.
Susan is a sitting circuit court judge in Wayne County, and she is running for probate judge because of what she has seen happening in the building. Over the next hour, we're going to play you a clip after clip from her interview on the Behind the Bench podcast with Todd Flood. And Cindy and Jody and I are going to break down why every word of this matters to families across Wayne County.
I don't know if you guys know who Todd Flood is, but he's an attorney in Michigan, and he's married to Heather Catallo, who's done a lot of shows about guardianship. For years, she's been covering guardianship. So he has a show, it's called Behind the Bench, and he interviews a candidate for probate judge in Wayne County. She is currently a circuit court judge. Her name is Susan Hubbard. And she really goes in deep on the problems that we've all experienced in probate court across the Michigan, across the United States, really. And I'm in Wayne County, and that's where she's running to be a probate judge. So we've got some clips from the show we're going to play, and we're going to try to break it all down clip by clip and discuss what we think is really important.
Okay, and we're going to start now.
You're going to be running for the probate position, probate judge. You're a judge now in the circuit court, well respected, have a great seat, and you're making this big switch.
Our court has been closed, our probate court in Wayne County, since COVID. It never reopened under the authority of Tom Boyd, who is a state court administrator appointed by former Chief Justice Bridget McCormick, who has since left. Resigned and took a high-paying position in New York. She left us with Mr. Boyd, who thinks it's just fine for our Wayne County probate court to be closed and to be a virtual court. As you know, the Wayne County probate court is the largest, busiest probate court in the state of Michigan. It oversees 33,000 cases, 13,000 new filings every year. And right now, the Department of Justice is there in a continued ongoing investigation into corruption. They have issued, I believe, 4 indictments so far. It doesn't seem to be of any concern to Mr. Boyd, who has supervisory control over all the courts in Michigan. So I'm very concerned about what's occurring in our court.
Definitely a cause worth fighting for, and to have the Department of Justice or any kind of investigation by the feds always raises the eyebrow. What the heck is going on?
I think it's totally insane that the Wayne County probate court has been closed for COVID, and it hasn't opened since the COVID has ended. If you heard her, she said 33,000 cases and 13,000 new filings a year. So that's a lot. And there's 4 indictments in Wayne County with a judge and other people involved. What is really going on in Wayne County Court?
Well, this is where Cindy's at. Cindy, come on, you must love this. I mean, you must love the Susan Hubbard coming out and telling people this.
I do. I'm so happy because we've all been going on and on about how we're facing all these problems in probate court, and we can't get anyone to listen to us. Now you have a sitting judge, a sitting respected circuit court judge who has experienced what I've experienced.
And her being a judge and an attorney, she knows the game, and she's just shocked that this is even happening, to the point where she put her name on the ballot. She's actually removing herself from the circuit court judge. A good job. She's been there, and she's running for this probate judge. So in my opinion, she's blessing us, and she's exposing all about Tom Boyd. SCAO is the state court administrative office. That is like the supervisory administration for the Supreme Court justices, who are supposed to be monitoring our courts. That's one of their duties, on top of like making sure that the appellate courts are doing their job and, you know, taking maybe opinions that might definitely encapsulate more people. They're supposed to sit there and make sure our courts are running properly. And that's all 83 counties, and not just probate court, but circuit court and family court and veteran court and business court. There's a lot of courts that they're supposed to be supervising. And Tom Boyd they have an administration, and Tom Boyd's ahead of that. And it's just mind boggling. Obviously, you can tell she doesn't like Tom Boyd too much because.
But it's like a joke when you go down there. You know, I've gone pro se. Obviously, I've been doing pro se for a couple years now. And when I have to go down there to file my stuff, I go down there and you go to the 13th floor and the elevator opens and there's just a guard.
Right.
And then there are little offices everywhere. And I want to file my documents. I have a file, I've got a petition or whatever it is that I'm filing. And oh, you just put it in this box here. So they have this like mailbox. And I had some of my filings were this thick. So here I am sticking them into this big mailbox, and it just dumps down just like a regular mailbox would.
Right.
It's ridiculous. And to think, it's 2026 and I still can't go into the court. In order for me to ever go into court, I have to request it. If I don't and then he can still deny it. The judges can still deny it. And the only time that I've been ordered to be in court is when they want to arrest me, when they want to try to put fear into me. Then all of a sudden, oh, we're going to have this one's going to be in person.
$12 million. I'm pretty sure that's the number. I know it's 9 million in Oakland County. $12 million is charged by taxpayers for the doors to be open. And, they have court clerks and I talked to an attorney today. He said he went to Wayne County. He showed up to court. No, actually, excuse me. It was Oakland County, but still it's the point of he goes into court in Oakland County, but the Judge Callahan, was on the Zoom at her house. So here he is, the working lawyer, and he's not crazy about what's going on in Wayne County at all. He's been in probate for a long time, and he's like, this is ridiculous. And it was kind of nice to hear this attorney also talk about it. He did make a comment that he didn't think that Susan's going to win. And I'm like, well, I don't know. You know what? The attorneys may not like her, but the people love her.
Kimberly Blackstone, she said, and why aren't we on e-file? Hello? I mean, you know all about e-file from being into the appellate court. Why is Wayne County not in it? I believe Oakland County is now part of e-file.
I asked him, I said, because I basically said, hey, I love Wayne County because you can click on an image and you get all the images for free. And you can analyze anybody's case because Wayne County has it. Well, according to Ed Hutton, a court administrator out of Oakland County, I spoke with him today. He basically said that Wayne County's in a different software. So they're not on M-File. So that's the other hard part about it is when you're at Oakland County, you have to go in, you have to pay $1 per page and you have M-File. But then you go over here to Wayne County, you don't have M-Filing, you don't get copies of your videos, but you can review every document. If you guys want to learn anything about probate court, go onto Wayne County records, start downloading, reading these documents. You will learn a lot of the process.
But they're not all available. I mean, most of them are available, but they're not all available.
That's a newer thing, making the image. Because when I first met you, Cindy, I don't think they were online. It's a newer thing that they started giving us the images.
No, they were online when we met, but what they did was my case started in May of 21. And in March, I think it was January or whatever of 22, they decided anything before March of 22, they were going to just wipe out. So you can't even, you have to go down there and request a document now, or you can fill it out online and send it in, and then you have to pay for a copy and everything like that. But no longer, you can't just go on there and get documents before March of 22 anymore.
Well, and I think, because of our group, we're getting quite a few phone calls. We are helping people that are newer because, again, there are a lot of cases like Cindy's and April's and mine that are, 6, 7, 8, 13 years long old. And so when people do call us, the first thing we do is we go onto the Register of Actions under the Wayne County Probate Court, go to Case Access, you put in their name, and you do see the documents. And normally it starts with a petition to be in probate. So a lot of us asked for it, you know, and then you find yourself in this nightmare.
Yeah, I wish I could go on my county's website and look at stuff like that. They don't have that on there. You
Right.
can't do anything. You have to email them or call them or
But
go in person.
they let you have your video for $20 if they work, of course. But you know,
Right.
I think it's awesome that up in Houghton County they gave you your videos. So
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah, we don't get any videos.
well, Wayne County, you only the transcriber gets it. At least in Oakland and Macomb, you can go in, sit and watch. And then, like in April's case, she actually, and I think even like Jackson and Washington County, for $20, they'll give you the DVD, you know. And another thing that's really weird is they used to make you sign a document that you could not share it with anybody. And now they don't have that written. So again, I don't know if the word's getting out. They're doing illegal things in our courthouses, and the people
Right.
knock it off. So, okay. So Todd asks the obvious follow up: why aren't judges just back in the courtroom? Susan's answers names, and then it's just not about the closed building.
What's so interesting about the whole Susan Hubbard thing is we've been able to follow her case because she was in Wayne County and she was able to get the judges, all the judges in Wayne County to recuse themselves. And her case was moved to Monroe County. Now, Monroe is not as accessible as Wayne County as far as able to get your documents and stuff. But I just find it very interesting to follow it there to see how she prevails in that county compared to Wayne County. Because
Right.
in Wayne County, I know it was obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. So she just was having a lot of problems in Wayne County.
Well, and the
So
thing,
we'll see.
Monroe County, again, I don't think it's an open where we can find it. We
Right.
have her name is Julie. She does a lot of court watching. She would love to, she might pop on. It's just hard for her because a lot of people do things on a Tuesday night, so they can't really be involved. But she does know a lot more of her backstory. But she does talk a little bit about it in some of our clips. But I'm ready for this. This next clip is just over a minute.
So, is there any rationale for, you know, like why we don't have judges back in the courtroom and bodies over there?
I am just appalled at the stories I'm hearing coming out of that court, the probate court. People who are losing tens of thousands of dollars out of their estates because judges there are appointing their friends as special fiduciaries and other appointments who are then raiding accounts and raiding estates. And this is just more, you know, I mean, this is a continuing problem on top of the court being closed. There are situations where right now there's an attorney by the name of Sarah Colgrove engaging judges in ex parte communications
That's crazy.
while she has tens of thousands of dollars in fee petitions awaiting their approval.
Wow.
This is just a lot of bad things are happening there, and that's why I'm right.
Bravo. Bravo. I even used one of her filings in the appellate court for my appeal. So I'm hoping my case still hasn't been called, and it's been almost a year since I filed. So, but again, the appellate court has asked Wayne County, last time I checked, 4 times for my records. 4 times, and they still haven't given them to them.
And that's the thing, and this is the problem. The pattern that our advocates are living through, all of our friends, we are VIPs, we're all friends now. You know, when they get into court, they find that their court appointed friends are being appointed and then their estates are getting drained. I mean, Cindy, you alone, how many attorneys did you go through in Wayne County and you knew darn well that they were not representing you and yet you were paying them legal fees?
Well, the problem is I didn't know that because, you know, I trusted the system. I'm a law-abiding, you know, citizen. When I called my mom's estate planning attorney, I was told you got to file for guardianship, call this guy, and he gives me the number of an attorney. So right away, I assumed this attorney is going to be working for me. He's billing me, he's charging me up the wazoo, and he was not helping me. He was never in my corner like I thought he was. And it wasn't until I got educated about what was happening through people like you and April and watching your cases that I was able to say, he is not even helping me. And each one, there was the only pattern I could see was each attorney was doing the same exact thing. They weren't in my corner. They'll tell you the right thing when you're talking to them, but once you sign that contract, everything seems to shift and they don't do what they're supposed to do.
Right, right. And then, you're being milked, and I love, tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And it is crazy that this continues to happen to us.
Yes.
I like
And I like how she said, they're hiring their friends, they're appointing their friends. I know Melinda Cameron, rest in peace at this point, but because she passed away, but
Rest in hell.
her and Freddie, exactly, thank you. Her and Freddie Burton were like this, and same with Langan. If you ever watched any of the Wayne County hearings on Zoom, you could see it was all the same players, always. It's a theatrical show. We just don't know.
Just look up Freddie Burton on Google and there'll be articles about another attorney whistleblower calling him out about Rosa Parks' estate.
Right.
Exactly.
So he's been doing this for years.
And that went on from, I think, 2000, I think she died in 2006 or 7. And that went on all the way up until, I think it was 2020, when it was finally reversed by the Michigan Supreme Court. He appointed his friends. He took away the attorneys Rosa Parks had chosen to represent foundation.
Right.
The Rosa Parks Foundation. She had I think it was one or two attorneys that were supposed to represent it. He fired them and hired his buddies. They got $500,000 from the estate. It's a nonprofit. How does a nonprofit? They don't have money to be giving attorneys. That's why an attorney was appointed that she knew would take care of the estate properly and not go taking all the money.
Right.
Yep.
I like her slogan. I'm trying to clean up the place. So, I do appreciate because we do need some cleanup going on over there. Let's go ahead and try the third clip. Todd, again, that's the husband of Heather Catello, who reports on WXYZ News, has asked how other judges are reacting to half the bench simply not showing up to work. And Susan's answer goes straight to the top of the chain of command.
Heather Catello with WXYZ. She's been doing these stories on probate. I don't know if you've followed them or seen them, but I'm appalled at some of the things she reports on. It tells me you're spot on with money gone missing from estates. And how are other judges reacting to a big part of the bench not coming into work?
This couldn't occur without the approval of Tom Boyd. Tom Boyd, as I said, was appointed by the Chief Justice of our Supreme Court, who has since left, but
Right.
He's still there. He's still there. So under our Constitution in Michigan, the Supreme Court has complete, unfettered supervisory control over every court in the state of Michigan.
Right.
So unless people complain to Justice Kavanaugh, who's now the Chief Justice, about Mr. Boyd and what he is doing to our local courts, then nothing's going to change. I mean, this man removed two very highly competent women as our Chief Judge in Wayne County Circuit Court and our Chief Judge Pro Tem. They were very effective in their jobs and they were doing a wonderful job. He didn't like them, or for whatever reason, he was not pleased with them, and so he removed them. Tom Boyd. These are decisions that really, in my opinion, belong in the local control of the courts. The circuit court judges should have had the opportunity to hold an election and elect their chief judge and chief judge pro tem. Now, when I was a county commissioner for 15 years, that's how our courts were run. There was a lot more local control. So the fact that Mr. Boyd is selecting our chief judges is determining that our Wayne County Probate Court, the largest probate court in the state of Michigan, is suddenly a virtual court. I don't even know if the state legislature is aware of this. I don't know what legal authority Mr. Boyd has to determine that the probate court is now a virtual court because he deems it so. I mean, it's just outrageous.
Yeah, so she was a county commissioner for 15 years, so she knows how this is supposed to work. And I can't believe that this is happening, that there's a pattern here. Tom Boyd fired people that he didn't like and then probably hired his friends, right?
Right. It's interesting because Heather Cataldo did a episode, or whatever you want to call it, a segment for the news about Wayne County being closed. Do you remember that? It was with Freddie Burton because he was the chief judge at the time. And he said he was saving the taxpayers' money. Well, I certainly don't feel I was saved any money. Nothing, zero. Money was taken from me. And then his big concern was that people with disabilities would be stuck downtown. But yet, look what he does to Kim Taylor and Missy Taylor. He forces her to be in person, because he knows they do not want in person.
And they live in Macomb County. So
exactly. They've been trying to get out of Wayne County for how long? And he keeps them there.
Right. That's
because of her trust, her special needs trust that they're just milking.
Yeah, lots of money. Exactly.
Yeah. But yet they can't repair anything in their home. And then they'll have adult protective services come in and then say, well, this is unsafe. Why is this not fixed? You go, oh, this isn't fixed, but yet they hold the purse strings and aren't providing the money that would for the repairs. Right. And then they have them come in and say it's not safe. It makes no sense.
Right.
You know, there's nobody that's watching this. There's no oversight at all.
This is literally a court cartel.
It is.
Yes.
It is 100%.
Well, she did give us some marching orders, which we'll talk a little bit about that at the end of the show. But she says, unless people start complaining to the Chief Justice Kavanaugh, nothing's going to change. And so now I don't know about, I mean, all of us have done complaining. We've gone to the Attorney General, we've gone to our commissioners, but it would be kind of cool if we did a writing campaign with the listeners on the Justice for Betty Hayes page that comes on every Tuesday night. You know, this gets played throughout, even though we're done, Tuesday for 1 hour, it continues to play. So we'll make sure that on the link that there's going to be like just a startup letter, just something to like, maybe what should I say? And then you can take it and then tweak it to your liking. But I appreciate Susan running for office, giving us some marching orders. We're all saying the exact same thing. Tom Boyd is not an elected position, and he seems to have a little bit too much control. And then he gets to bring on Freddie Burton. You know, what's up with that? Mm-hmm. You know, he's supposed to retire and be gone, and exactly. Double dipping. Is he getting his pension and then also still working for the courts? You get
of course. Yeah.
That gets tiring. The Supreme Court has complete, unfeathered supervisory control. That's what Susan says. And doesn't that mean that this is fixable at the moment? Enough people speak up. The next clip is one that made our whole group go quiet. Susan describes walking down the halls of Coleman A. Young's building herself and what she sees with her own eyes every day.
If you go on to the 12th and 13th floors of the City County building, the Coleman A. Young building, and you go to each of those doors of those judges and try to open them,
they're locked. Yeah.
They're locked. You can't get in.
I know.
It's like, hello. I mean, this is outrageous.
It raises questions too about, does everybody have access to reliable internet, right? It's a probate court. People are there not because they necessarily choose to be, but they have, their heirs or their whatever they have before the court. Do they have reliable internet?
Right.
Can they access it?
Right. I mean, this is really heartbreaking. I get on the elevator because I'm on the 15th floor. And I see an elderly man with his son telling me that this was the third trip that they made down to the probate court in one day.
Wow.
And I said, why did you have to? Because we didn't have this right. We didn't bring the right form. They told us to come back. This is just unacceptable. Why should Wayne County residents be treated differently than the rest of the residents in the state of Michigan? They are being treated like second-class citizens, and it's unacceptable, and someone needs to call Chief Justice Kavanaugh and ask her to get the court reopened, because she has the authority to do it, and she has the authority to direct Mr. Boyd to do it. But, you know, instead, he has hired the former chief probate judge, Freddie Burton, is now working for Mr. Boyd over at SCAO. And you have to wonder, what is Freddie Burton doing working at SCAO for Tom Boyd? What is the former chief judge of probate court, Milt Mack? He also was hired by the state Supreme Court after he retired. I mean, there seems to be something very wrong with the lack of local control here in our probate court.
Spot on.
Yeah, 100%. She's right to ask about the internet access. Not every Wayne County family has reliable Wi-Fi to attend a virtual probate hearing. And let's talk about who are the people involved in these probate hearings. My mother is 92. Now, could my mother go and get on the internet and, no. So she would have had to rely on the very people who kidnapped her to put her on the internet.
In your case, your niece was on the Zoom with her. And
yes, and they would put headphones on my mom, and they would whisper in her ear, my sister on one side, my niece on the other. And here I'm like, wait a minute, what are they saying to her? But yet I wasn't allowed to be with my own mother, and I was the durable power of attorney, trustee of the trust, medical power of attorney, and Freddie Burton Jr. completely destroyed my mother's entire estate plan, ignored her wishes 100%.
Well, and what is so crazy about Susan Hubbard, I mean, she is actually a sitting judge that walks down the halls and sees that the doors are locked. And so this isn't a rumor. This is something that an eyewitness who is a judge, where she's got to come to work every day. She's got to get dressed, leave the house, get on her black robe, park, do all that stuff. And yet for some reason, these special probate people don't seem to have to follow the rules. And I think this is what drives us crazy with Tom Boyd. Why is he allowing these substandard attitudes to be going on when you're at the highest level of justice?
I remember going down to Wayne County, going to the 13th floor. I think it was the 13th floor. Maybe it was a different floor that I had to go on for something else. But there aren't even lights on. There aren't even lights on in these offices. So I'm like, I'm kind of scared because I'm the only person on the whole that I can see. There's nobody else there. It's like freaky. And this man some man walks past me and he goes, you have to ring the doorbell. And I was like, the doorbell? So there's like a doorbell on the door. And then you see the lights come on and somebody walks up to, I'm like, what the heck is going on here? They're like hiding back there.
Yeah. And it's disgusting that they make an elderly man go there 3 times. And that's exhausting for a young, healthy person to do that.
Exactly.
I can't imagine, the elderly having to do that.
They work there and they don't help. And what do you mean you can't sit there and reprint the form out for them? And you guys, I do have to tell you, not all the employees are like this. I believe that they're starting to hire different people with a different attitude, and they want to help people. So we've got to get rid of these old people, get people in like Susan, who wants to basically serve the public with the job that the Lord has blessed her with. She gets to be a judge, and she has these clerks that are supposed to be helping. And because she got herself into probate court herself, she sees the headaches that we're going through. And not that I would wish this upon any judge or attorney or anything, but it's pretty bad when it starts happening to a judge or an attorney, because we're not the crazy ones. Sometimes they make us, I call it legal abuse syndrome. You feel like you're going crazy because, like, who does this to somebody?
Well, you remember when I was in the court with Judge McClory, I wasn't even allowed to have water. Who heard of such a thing?
Her tongue was, it was so funny.
My tongue was
sticking to my teeth. That's what she
said. And he said, sorry, because he didn't want me to put anything on the record that they couldn't get off the record. So he knew that if I opened my mouth, I was going to be able to speak, and he didn't want me speaking. He didn't have a problem with Randy speaking because he knew Randy wasn't going to say anything. And I kept nudging Randy, say,
No, that's funny.
Jeez. I just
It-
hope that,
it's like a comedy show.
yeah. I hope
Instead of
that
a court of law, it's a comedy show.
it is. It's a clown show. I hope that Susan Hubbard can stay safe because she is speaking out about this corruption, and she's a judge.
That's a good point.
I've heard of a lot of, I mean, this happened in Nevada, but a judge was speaking out against the corruption that was happening with her daughter and was trying to save her daughter because I guess she was being like trafficked and stuff with the actual, I think it was the cartel. And she was doing her own investigation and no one would do anything about it. And she wound up dead too.
Oh, no.
So, because she was speaking out.
I'm
So
afraid
it's
myself
scary.
sometimes, because
Yeah.
I'm speaking out too about my experiences, and I'm talking to other people and we're sharing their experiences. And this is
Mhm.
something that they want hidden. Like for all the problems that I had with Freddie Burton and how he ignored my mother's estate plan, you heard Susan say he's now with SCAO.
I know.
Like, and then I was trying to find documentation of that, and all I hear is, oh, he's still very involved with the mental health, with people in mental health. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, a judge is supposed to be above reproach, right? You're not supposed to even have to question the stuff that a judge is doing. This judge has repeatedly, I don't think he ever did a lawful order on my case the entire time. I mean, all I was terrorized the entire time. I mean, they weren't even looking at my accounting when he gave an order for me to pay $220,000. I mean, this man has no respect for the law whatsoever, in my opinion, because you would never do that.
People don't respect the law. They do what
Right.
they want.
Right.
And
They
Cindy,
know they don't, like we were talking about earlier, Jody. The attorneys are supposed to go to law school to learn the law. They're not going to law school to learn the law. They're learning how to go around the law.
Right.
They're learning their way around the law so they can circumvent whatever is there in front of them. They make their way around it.
well, and the thing I want to point back about what you were saying earlier, because, again, you might have had Freddie and you might have had a good case, but we would love Justice Kavanaugh and Tom Boyd, the two very high positioned people, to come in and look at the Betty Hayes case. They will see. I mean, Cindy is not lying. Like if you were to actually
Right.
sit down and look at all of her filings, go and look at all of her videos, which you'd have to get access to because the transcripts are there, but they just don't really show like what happens. And even the one time when the one judge didn't know he was still on the mic and was basically saying something about us court watchers, and the court clerk goes, "Judge, you're still on camera or you're still on mic."
Right.
So I mean, but you'd have to actually see this because they talk about us, right? But they forget to shut the mic off. So
And it's all pre-planned when they do it. If you remember the one, I don't know if you were on that hearing, but there was another hearing, and it was the first time we had Braxton, and we all just let loose on Cameron and said, listen, you're the guardian ad litem. You're supposed to be the eyes and ears of the courtroom. You never spoke to my brothers, and you spoke to me one time. You completely threw out my mother's estate plan, my mother's wishes, and you let a granddaughter usurp lawful heirs, lawful next of kin. She wasn't the next of kin, yet she took precedence over me and my brothers. And we're just going crazy, and she's even yelling back at us, and we're yelling at her. And then Terry Jordan comes on and says, Judge, I concur. And
Yeah.
we were like, everybody just burst out laughing because you don't even know what we're talking about, but you concur because they were all gonna get off the case and they wanted to be paid because they knew it was coming to an end and my mom was gonna run out of money and they wanted to make sure they got their money.
And this
So
is
she
why
was
we want
concurring.
Justice Kavanaugh to please come in. It's called superintendent control. Come in and look at Cindy's case. She has taken the time to get the transcripts, document everything. She's totally organized. And like she said earlier, she's in the Court of Appeals and they're like not even jumping on it. Like, let this woman have her answers. The reason why we have higher courts is to, and again, think about the system. We have the Supreme Court justices, they're supposed to trickle down, make sure everybody's doing their job. And if the Court of Appeals, which they do nowadays, they just deny. And they don't ever like even tell us why they denied. We just spent thousands of hours and you know, probably $1,000 in filing fees and paper and all that stuff. And then they come back denied and they waste about what, you know, anywhere between 10 and 18 months to do that. But then they don't do their job. But the reason why they're there is we're in probate. You know what the probate judges say to us? Go ahead, appeal us. They know, go ahead and appeal us, because there isn't top-down leadership from the state court administration and obviously chief, and nothing to you guys are 7 justices. 2 of them are going to be reassigned this year. So you're going to definitely want to like research who you want as your Supreme Court justice. But the 2 of them, you know, there's 7 of them. So the chief justice is Kavanaugh, but she's still not the top dog. There's still 7 justices that are supposed to be hearing these cases and supervising these lower courts. It's frustrating.
And I heard from a little bird someone's going to run.
Well, I'm on the U.S. taxpayers party. Tom Howe, you guys, we've had Tom on. We have put our name on the ballot for Supreme Court justice. We feel it's just not fair that this group of people, these 43,000 attorneys, they have their own little party, because, you know, they get to pick and choose who's going to be on these positions of power. And we are not running for judge, and we are running for justice, Supreme Court justices. And Tom and I, we went yesterday to Lansing, and the Board of Election did accept our affidavits to run. We don't know if they're going to allow us. We had to cross 2 things out, and I have to tell you this. The one was, it states that I have been licensed to practice law. Well, lawyers don't have a license to practice law. Now, I have a real estate license, and I have to be lawful and legal and compliant with my real estate license that I have with the state of Michigan. So I still wanted to say yes in real estate, but that's, you know, that's not what we did. We ended up crossing it out, because if you sign this affidavit and they come back at you, they can actually throw you in jail, $5,000 a year in jail for perjury. Oh, us people, as usual. The other thing we had to cross out was that we have been practicing law for 5 years. And Tom and I are like laughing. It's like, oh my gosh, we've been in probate for, you know, 13 years. He's been in it for 8. We've been practicing probate. We're probably a little bit more updated than most of the lawyers. And then I said, of course, I'm a smart aleck. I said, hey, I don't practice it. I actually follow it, because that's what's wrong. We have all these people practicing, and we're tired of the practice. Start following the law. So we'll keep you posted. You know, if they don't let us run.
I like the idea of you running and Tom running, because right now the only people like where we have in our appellate court, where we have in our attorney grievance, when we have in our judicial tenure committee, who are they? Attorneys. We need somebody in the public, somebody to oversee and be a watchdog of these people, because it, you know, you can see blatant I mean, you can't say corruption, but I guess Susan did, so I guess I can. But you see blatant where they're not following the law, crystal clear. And then you file your appeal and it's denied. Or you write something to the Judicial Tenure Commission and, oh, we didn't see any evidence. Why? Because they protect each other. They're all members of the bar, and they completely look out for each other and protect each other. We need somebody who's not in the game, not, you know, part of the club.
We want lay people. And that's the thing. Like, you know, realtors, we're part of the National Association of Realtors. We're a membership, and we pay our dues to be part of the MLS and part of the real estate board. But we're also state licensed through Lara, that we have to pass an exam, do Con Ed. And guess what? We have a lot of people holding us accountable, and we're not buddies out there, because we're all kind of competitors. And so, you know, we have to just do our job, because we work for the public. We're public servants and we have to follow the law, not practice it. At some point, like you become a salesperson for 3 years and then you can become a broker. You cannot become a broker of an establishment unless you have at least 3 years of experience. We need that same kind of stuff with the bar, but all they have is a membership. They are the state bar membership. And because you join their membership after going through law school, which I like to call lie school, because they must teach them how to be manipulative. And because I've seen the most nastiest, unmoral people, and the way that not only my case and your guys' cases, we see it regularly. And so anyways, we're hoping to get some lay people. If we don't get on the ballot, if they give us a hard time, we're the United States Taxpayers Party of Michigan. I did resign from the Republican Party because they don't want to take fights like this. I mean, that's the thing. They want to talk about, oh, let's put a sign in a yard and get somebody elected. And I don't even like a lot of the choices out there because they're not really fighting for like what I'd like, justice in our courts.
That's the problem. None of the parties are like they used to be. Everything has just completely changed. And there's so much corruption in our government now that you can't trust anybody that you've elected anyway. I mean, when me and Tom went to Lansing that day, and they told us State Representative Jamie Thompson and Gina Johnson, they all were. Oh, and then Kathy Schmaltz. Oh, we want to hear from you guys, your victims. Yes, call my office. I called your office. And what did you do? Less than a week later, you passed the very legislation I told you would harm people. You didn't give victims a seat at the table. And until you do, we're not going to have any justice for victims. Nope, nothing. It's the same old status quo we've had for decades.
And
where they rob people.
One, we had De Boyer with Tracy Kornak, and he went on Charlie LaDuff's show, and he's talking about it. And we're like, yeah, this is great. And we had a meeting with him. We had scheduled to show up. We got our agenda package. We got our packages together. We wanted to make sure that we were organized and we were going to have a respectful 30 to 45 minute meeting with them. Do you know that morning he called me up and canceled? And I mean,
I called him out on that today.
Oh, you did?
I did. He had a post up today about he hopes that he will be able to meet with this person. They'll meet with him. I don't even remember what it was about, but it was someone in government having a meeting with him. And I said, well, I hope if you get that meeting, they don't cancel like you did on us. Exactly. Victims need a seat at the table, and you can't just give us lip service. You don't just give us lip service when you're in front of people or you're on camera or you're, it's being recorded and say, yes, call us. We're going to listen to you. And then, sorry, but that meeting's canceled.
Exactly.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Exactly. So Susan keeps going, and this time she names 2 former chief probate judges who are now working for the very administrative oversight of this mess.
And then you have attorneys swearing under oath who are testifying under oath that they engage judges in the probate court ex parte routinely, while they have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in attorney fee petitions pending before those judges for their approval. Judge Freddie Burton, the former chief judge of Wayne County Probate Court, who has since retired and now works for Tom Boyd at SCAO, is actually endorsing an attorney who has told under oath, who's sworn under oath, that she engages these judges all the time, ex parte, while she has fee petitions pending for their approval. This is illegal. It's against their court rules, as you both know. I'm sure even, non-lawyers know it's not acceptable to talk to judges on an ex parte basis when you're an interested party in the case. And yet this is being approved by as high up as our state Supreme Court Administrator's Office, who is hiring the former chief judge of probate court, who's endorsing candidates who claim they've engaged him in ex parte communications. It's just a mess, and it needs to be cleaned up, and people need to be held accountable for what's going on.
People need to be held accountable.
Yep.
She sounds like us. That's what's like really amazing. She really sounds like what we've been saying all this time, and it's really refreshing because I know she's a judge and I know she cares about good governance.
Yeah. I mean, she calls it out. Sworn testimony admitting to ex parte contact with pending fee petitions. She calls it illegal, and she's right.
Absolutely. No. Yeah, and people do need to be held accountable, and that's what it was kind of fun talking to this Ed, and I told him that we are court watching, we are going in and we're taking notes, and I gave him a praise report. I says that there's some good things going on in Oakland County. I see some changes, not fast enough, and it's never going to really help our families. And if it wasn't for us being harmed, we would not be here. There's no way I'd be spending every Tuesday night if I wasn't experiencing the amount of harm that we've been experiencing, and it's still ongoing. Like Cindy says, she's in the Court of Appeals. We're in the Court of Appeals, and we're in the Michigan Supreme Court. We have two applicants. They're called applications, you guys. What do you mean? It's an application to be heard by the Michigan Supreme Court? This is not a job. This is where it should be a complaint. I should be able to go and file a complaint and be heard by the highest court level. And it's this game called, it's an application, $475. And you'll be lucky if you get heard. And I got to tell you today, well, actually yesterday, but today I responded to it. Yesterday, the attorney that he wants to wait, and he needs more time to respond to our Michigan Supreme Court application. And we wrote back today, my husband and I were like, excuse us, we paid $150 more to have an expedited situation because we would like to end this nightmare that we're in. We want accountability from the attorney that helped put David White into jail, and he could have stopped it if he would have done something back in 2015 and 2016. So we pay, you pay your application fee, and then we paid an extra $150 to have it expedited. And then Joe Ehrlich sends an email and says, I'm going on vacation and I need more time. And so we wrote back like, well, Tom's already the attorney. It's about Tom. You go on vacation, Joe, and let's have Tom just come in and meet his maker, which are his Supreme Court justice. They're supposed to be babysitting their own, and they're not.
He's an attorney. Surely he can represent himself against a non-attorney.
You would think. You would think. So
he's not a newly appointed attorney.
Right.
But apparently he's afraid to go head to head against you, a non-attorney.
Well, and I think that's the hardest part is we've got to get over this where you guys, as pro se litigants, which all of us have done because we are not practicing, we're following. We are learning the court rules. We're helping each other. We have so many people on even a national level. They will help us. And actually, we do have some attorney people that will help. They won't put their name on anything because they're afraid of the cabal themselves. But this is what's so crazy. We do need to self-educate ourselves. We do need to know the process. But just like Cindy said earlier, but if everybody else over here has to do accounting and has to prove every receipt, and Cindy has to be one of them, then you should actually give Cindy the right for an evidentiary hearing, sitting in front of a jury and letting the jury decide if her receipts are for sure honest. I was there when her and Pat, her husband, were sitting there hours on end, calling up Home Depot.
Months.
Well, I was there only a couple of days, but yeah, I mean, they did it for months, but the few days that I was there, they're finding the receipts. They're calling the big box stores, trying to get the receipts because they did this huge project on the house so mom could have this beautiful grand pad, they call it. Well, they went to Home Depot and had to find it all. And they did it. They have binders of their receipts, and yet no evidentiary hearing, no due process, and not in front of a jury. And instead she gets bullied. Nuts.
Right. And if for all of 2019, not 2019, for part of 2019, my parents were still in their home and they had bills there, electric bill, cable bill, their taxes, groceries, medical supplies. They were still living there. And then when they came to my house, the home did not sell for another year. We didn't immediately sell it. We wanted to fix it up so my mom could get a good price for it, and that, we're not going to just dump it and then she doesn't get anything. So my husband worked on it. He redid the floors, all the hardwood floors. We painted it and made it, give it a nice curb appeal, and, so that it would get top dollar. And we did. And, but again, all that work that we did on their house, all the bills for that year. They wanted me to give them all of that too, and they wanted to make me repay all of it.
And they
But he said
questioned.
I didn't have evidence.
Well,
That's
this
what
is
he
the best
said. My
part.
evidence wasn't evidence.
She had the HUD statement, which is the statement that where you get your proceeds and everybody signs it. She had it where, you know, the I don't know, I'm just going to name it. Like it was $125,000 worth of proceeds. And then she had her bank statement on the same day that she deposited the proceed check into the bank. They didn't even look at this. And they now want her to pay back the money that she allegedly stole because they won't take the time to look at the evidence. And that's
He
what
said, I showed him the bank statement, which showed the check was $146,000 put into my mother's trust. And you see how much the trust was before, how much it was after. And he said, oh, that's not proof. And I mean, what more can you give this
and this
man?
is the
You
thing.
can't.
Who is he to say that's not proof? What brain cell is he missing?
Because he's a judge, he feels he can say whatever he wants. He can say whatever he wants, and he can put an order in that I'm going to do whatever he wants me to do because he wanted Cameron and Jordan to get that money. And he didn't care what it cost my mother mentally and physically and financially, or what it cost me, because they're in it to make money. They're not in it to protect anybody. It's not about protection, it's about profits.
It
And
makes me wonder how much he was getting too under the table.
exactly, because a judge is not going to lose their license. And this man was the chief judge and had been a judge, how, I mean, he's in his 70s. And he's not going to throw his whole career away so that Cameron can get money, squeeze money out of an elderly person who had a stroke under her watch because they had her living with someone who wasn't giving her AFib medication. I mean, it's absolutely ludicrous.
It is nuts. Okay, here's the thing. This next clip is kind of short, but it goes to the heart of why families reach out to us every week.
And like I said, the people who are being victimized are the families of Wayne County who have to have their estates and, you know, their probate matters tried there because they live in Wayne County. And, you know, they're losing serious money on attorney fees who are, you know, people who are being appointed by these judges when they don't need to be appointed, right? I mean, in many cases, there's a court rule that actually tells the court when you must appoint an attorney to a case. And it's very rare, and yet they routinely do it in Wayne County. They appoint their friends, and these attorneys milk the estates.
That pretty much covers it again. They milk the estates, and this is what's so frustrating is what can we do about it? A sitting circuit judge says milking the estates, and you know and the other thing too she brought up was the Michigan court rules. We all know the Michigan court rules. You are not supposed to be appointing an attorney, but oh, lo and behold, Freddie has his friends.
Right. And what about, you know, the law where family comes first,
Right.
You know, families first. Not only is family supposed to be first, say if my mother didn't have an estate plan and they find themselves in guardianship court, right, in probate. Family first should still have applied and epic should still have been followed, correct?
Right.
But instead, not only did they not follow family first, my mother had an estate plan. She did everything right to protect herself. Her and my father went and saw Kevin Adams. He did the estate plan. They named me because they trusted me. They named my brother because they trusted my brother. And then what happens? Freddie Burton, with one little swish of his hand, allows a granddaughter to usurp us and take over and run the court like it's her court. Files objections on my accounting. I mean, she wasn't next of kin. She wasn't a beneficiary, yet they gave her priority in the courtroom.
And she used, I mean, again, you guys, Tom Langen was the attorney she used. And Tom Langen got favor over because he's a lawyer. And you know, you had Blake Lippman and you had oh gosh, I remember some of the people you had, but you know, Tom Langen is now partner of Thive and Reiki. So again, if Thive and Reiki would love to come on the show someday, I would love to talk to them because I'd like to know what made you think that you could help this niece do the harm that she did to Betty Hayes. So
Well, he knew that he would become the he'd become partner,
and he
you
is
know, and he did.
yep.
And he did. And it's just mind-blowing when you sit down and you look at everything that's happened in our cases, and it's like we're all talking the same talk, you know. You
Right.
know, you could literally say what happened in my case because you know it so well because it happened in your case. It
Right.
happened in April's case. It happens to everybody. The isolation, their number one tool, because they know that, you know, hits at the heart of the family to take somebody away from their loved one. It's the heart of the family, and they go right for the jugular right out of the gate.
When I was trying to find an attorney to help me with my mom's personal like estate, when I was personal representative, or when I was trying to get personal representative, I wasn't appointed yet, but I called an attorney, I believe it was in Southfield, and I want to say it was Bernstein. But they told me, and I have a recording of it, so I'll have to go back and find it. But they told me that, oh, I'm surprised the judge didn't appoint a professional fiduciary because there's conflict in your case.
And
That's
if there
what, I'm
isn't
like, oh,
conflict, they manufacture it.
yeah, but it's still supposed to be a family member whether there's conflict or not.
Right. Right. Well, and you want to know why? Because perjury matters. You're supposed to go to jail if you lie. And so then that keeps everybody honest. And you stand on that witness stand and you raise your right hand and you take an oath to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God. You have to say, so help you God, because you guys were inherently liars and you don't remember stuff. And then that's what happens. You need to honor that witness stand and you need to be on the witness stand speaking the truth. But these attorneys are allowed to lie. That's why I call it lie school. And it makes
And
it difficult to come back and fix the lies that they've created for all of us.
during my accounting hearing, they all, you know, they're officers of the court, and the judge holds them up like, oh, don't, how dare you ever suggest that they may not be speaking the truth? Because somebody said that we wanted them sworn, it was me, I think. I wanted them sworn in. And the judge said, I'm not going to swear them in. They're officers of the court. Like, how dare you think they should be sworn in? You know, of course they're telling the truth. They're officers of the court. But we had Terry Jordan, we had Bruce Rice, we had Freddie Burton Jr., and we had Melinda Cameron all know that they were looking at the wrong accounting from Walensky, and they all swore that I owed this money by looking at her accounting and not viewing the accounting that was before them.
That you
And
made
Michael Caine,
$40,000, right? Yeah.
and Michael Caine knew as well. But I think Michael Caine at that point was kind of stunned. You know, he was dazed. I don't think he really knew until later that they had switched the accounting and weren't using his product, his work product. You know, because they would say stuff and then he would come back with, well, wait a minute. No, it's all in there. It's all in there. But I maybe couldn't say it exactly. So he wanted to put those words in my mouth, you know, so it'd be on the record that I didn't know. If you don't know, say you don't know. No, I do know.
Exactly. We're on our last clip. It is very personal because Susan isn't just speaking as a judge now, watching from inside. She actually lived this in her own family.
And right now we have the Department of Justice who's indicted 2 attorneys for doing just that.
Yeah, with the sitting Judge 3060 and the father and all that. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah.
But I don't think this is isolated to them. This is entrenched there. I mean, this is going on with multiple attorneys. This is not just about those 2 individuals. This is about multiple attorneys. I would say 20 to 25 of them who are part of this select group who are routinely appointed by these probate judges, and they make tens of thousands of dollars off of families' estates. And the sad truth of the matter is, most of these families cannot afford to file appeals. Like in my own family's case, one of the probate judges assigned a special fiduciary Are you ready for this? Who charged my mother's estate $265,000
Oh my God.
goodness. You're
for
kidding
doing
me.
nothing.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
No. And
Eh.
so I've been personally affected by what's going on there, on top of being a sitting circuit court judge
Yeah.
and really being shocked at what's going on there. And so our Supreme Court and Mr. Boyd needs to do something about this.
Her story is very personal because we also were appointed a special fiduciary and we're at $380,000. So when I heard that it was the end of her interview, that's when I said, I need to get a hold of her. And I am in awe of her sharing the news that has affected all of us. Whether you have been given a special fiduciary like Susan and I, or you're unfortunately granted a guardian ad litem or a guardian, just a plain guardian or conservator like Bruce Rice, at least in April's case, they did allow you to try to be the personal rep. But you had a challenge trying to get anybody, any lawyer to help you. So there's something about this group of attorneys that are under the state bar, under Tom Boyd, under the justices, that we just wanted to bring awareness tonight. I know we are going over a little bit, but we do appreciate that everybody joined in on this evening's event, and we get to meet Susan Hubbard. If possible, we're going to try to get her on the show, but she's very busy campaigning and still working as a circuit court judge.
I wanted to mention too, Protect Our Parents is on too, and she mentions appeals, less than 2% win. And when they do, they get kicked back to the probate court.
To the same judge
Right.
that already hates
Right.
you.
Right. And that's a
Yeah.
very good point. But
That's
with this,
part of the reason why I didn't appeal
right.
one of
Right.
my
And
wrongful death suit.
the other
Yeah.
thing is I wanted to mention the Netflix documentary Dirty Money, and it was called Guardian Inc. was the episode. It was removed from Netflix, and Netflix settled with who's the family member, I think it was the Guardian or someone sued them, and they settled, so they're not part of the lawsuit, but the Guardian is suing the attorney that represented the family of Charlie Thrash. His name is Phil Ross. He's being sued, and some of the family members are being sued about the Netflix documentary. And the judge has opened it up to Zoom, and I watched today. And I will post it again for people to watch because it's very interesting, because they're being sued for libel. And obviously I'm saying some very what's true?
Statements.
Well, I'm saying the truth, but I'm saying what happened to me. My personal experience is what I'm sharing with you. And that's what Jody's sharing and what April's sharing. These are our experiences. We're not attorneys. Unfortunately, we all three have had to play them on in the court. We've had to represent our own cases. And then the other thing is the Whistleblower Summit is going to be next week in Washington, D.C., and it'll be live streamed. And I have the link on my mom's page, but I'll post it again. But in the comments today, I did post the link if you want to join the Zoom tomorrow for the Netflix. And it was very interesting. Today was just the voir dire of the jurors, but tomorrow opening arguments or opening statement is supposed to start at 9:30 a.m. Texas time. So I don't know.
That's like 12:30 our time. Is that
I'm
they're
not
at
really
9, 10, 11, I think it's like 12:30 then, right? 3 hours behind us.
something like that. So if anybody wants to jump on, I think it'd be very interesting, especially for us, because a lot of times we're threatened. I was sued by the very person who kidnapped my mother, because the court, treated her with so much a favor that she thought, oh, well, I'll sue her. She sued me for $500,000 after kidnapping my mother. And thankfully, a circuit court judge like Susan saw behind the all the lies and threw it out. But I wanted my attorney to countersue, and he didn't. So, maybe later on down the line, but I'm still trying to catch my breath in appeals court and, everything else that we're all doing, trying to fight, this probate court, guardianship abuse, and trying to protect the elderly.
Well, we definitely want to thank Todd Floyd for having his podcast where we were able to grab this footage about Susan Hubbard. We do definitely want to stand behind her. We're going to try to get some signs, you have the signs that you can put on your yard. As soon as we get some yard signs, we'll definitely let you know. And then another thing, we are going to try to put that call to action about contacting Justice Kavanaugh and demanding that we get some superintending control over our Supreme Court justices. And we want Milton Mack out and we want Freddie Burton out of there. And we want them to go into the pasture and retire and leave our courts alone. So
Kim Blackstone asked about
we want them in
a
jail.
letter for that. And I told her that we'd come up with something.
I have something. I'll put it on
We'll
your.
come up with something and we'll post it so that everybody can contact.
And when you do it,
Kevin.
let us know, because that's the cool thing about it. But April, what did you just say?
I said we want them in jail, not
Yeah.
just to go on and retire and get their pensions.
Exactly. I want the pension. I deserve that pension. I do. I mean, the hell that he put my family through, and now he gets to walk away, and he isn't even retiring. So getting his pension's not even enough. He's with SCAO now.
And getting more money, double dip.
Exactly.
So here's the thing, you guys, courts are in crisis, but we are victims that are now using our voices, and we appreciate you guys watching, listening. We do try to reach back out to everybody. I have a couple calls I have to make now to some people that have been contacting us, but as usual, we will see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye-bye.